Hello there, and welcome to the 24 Gauge podcast. We are your hosts,
Dave,
and Julia Grant.
a couple of nurses who are also a couple.
We are Canadian RNs with 25 years of shared acute care experience who have built professional careers and a life together. Join us each episode as we have conversations about the real, the introspective, the deep, and the dorky of living life as a nurse.
I almost forgot our serene moment. Okay, we're good.
We're
So
good.
say hi to the camera first. Hi, camera.
Hi, camera.
I don't know if this is going to make it into the YouTube cut, but, we were kind of dressed up already today for some errands.
Yeah, but you were smart enough to change out of hard pants when we came home.
Yeah, maybe the camera can catch them. I got soft pants on.
Nice
I put the sweater
on.
back on, so I'm not just in my tank top. But
I'm still in jeans like a fool.
at least I'm not wearing my linen soft pants, my linen house pants that have like a big hole in the crotch.
Oh, yeah.
You were aiming right at the camera.
That's not a good look for you,
It would
too.
be a whole other video.
We'd have to change
doing.
the editing, or the rating of the video.
Yeah. We already have to potty mouth.
Me. Yeah, it's true. It's very ironic that I'm the one that's driving up the rating.
Yeah.
Healthcare turned my mouth foul.
Good Lord. Anyways, hopefully the video works out. And hopefully let us know if you guys have been enjoying the shorts that we've been making. Those have been kind of fun. I've been getting a little cheeky with them the last couple of days.
I was going to say that it's not we're making, it's all Dave. Dave is doing all the social media jazz.
Yeah, I have to remind you to go and at least like it.
I know, but
It's so difficult.
I'm so self-conscious about us having a podcast that's out in the public still.
That's right. First off, what are we drinking? Nothing fun today. You got water.
I gotta hydrate. I've had so much coffee already this morning. I need hydration.
I'm sorry, Phil and Seb. We couldn't do it again. I already had 4 shots of a Phil and Sebastian espresso, and then we went.
And then you
coffee.
had a drip coffee as well because we were running errands and we stopped for coffee with our son.
And I'm not a young 20-year-old anymore. I can't do that.
I could have made you a martini if you wanted, but I feel like we're both so tired today that if we had martinis, we'd be done.
No, I'm fine with this.
Yeah. All right. Well, there we go.
Excuse me. So we're on video.
So we are on video.
So that'll be fun. We have said it enough. I'm just a little self-conscious that it's there.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully it records too. It's just on our phone.
Yeah.
And you can't see if it's recording still.
Maybe we should put up a mirror behind it so that we could see.
This is actually the problem when I had my YouTube channel, Dave Grant Cooks.
Yeah.
Was because I would record on my phone.
Yeah.
But you couldn't see anything. So then I had to. It was such a pain.
Yep.
But if we start doing this for real, then maybe we'll get a camera with a flip up monitor or something. So we can see it or something.
Flip it around.
Invest a little bit of money into our eventual futures.
We need some sponsorships first, Dave Grant.
Phil and Sebastian.
I thought you were just looking for free coffee from them.
Yeah, that's free coffee from them. Wow, that's the number one sponsor I'm looking for.
There you go. It's free coffee.
I would be honored. We would be honored.
We would be very honored to have a coffee sponsor.
And over-caffeinated, probably.
Probably so good.
Okay, anyways, enough of that. What are we talking about today?
What are we talking about today? Well, we thought that we would talk a little bit more about being married and sharing a workplace.
So,
which is ironic because this is the first week that we haven't shared a workplace because I started a new job this week.
And hopefully this doesn't turn into an intense therapy session.
Oh, like couples therapy with your YouTube therapist.
Yeah, with the YouTube therapist.
Wait a second. I gotta take off my earrings. I didn't think about earrings and headphones, so fill the space.
So A B C
Oh, no.
D E F G. The song is stuck in my head. Our son has started singing it in like the last 2 weeks. He knows it all, and he gets really excited when he gets to say, next time will you sing with me?" But it's like just stuck in my head now. It's like, oh dear Lord.
He sings that part double time every time too. Just that last line is always double time.
And he can barely get it out. He's so excited.
I know.
Okay. Anyways, being working together, being married. Yeah. So you started your new job this week.
I did start my new job this week,
which is authenticity has created some stress in our home life.
I think any major transition is like you're going to have beginnings, endings, that hanging in the middle between the two trapezes sort of thing. Yes, I did throw in that theory from nursing school. But it's just like, it's a big change for our whole family. It's not just me. So there's going to be some growing pains. Yeah. We're going to work it out.
Oh yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah. I will work on handling it with more grace going forward.
I think the biggest change is like, because you've done like, you've like picked up other lines and stuff here and there.
Yeah.
But they've always been sort of the 4 on 5 off sort of deal, which is what we're used to the whole time. Mm-hmm. So you have those days off to recoup and we kind of usually take a day to kind of get the house back in order together.
Mm-hmm.
More Julia than me. But we kind of sort of like, I'll watch Ethan while Julia does stuff. Not to be misogynistic, just I'm happier in my filth than Julia is.
You're a cave bear.
I'm like, yeah. I get annoyed when Ethan's toys are all over the place, but at the same time, I'm like, man, they're not on my seat, so it's okay. Anyways, but so your jobs have always been shift work jobs.
Yep.
But this is your first job where you've gone to a straight Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. Well, essentially 9 to 5, 7, we'll call it 8 to 4 job with only the weekends off. So that's going to be a huge shift for us.
It is a huge, I mean, for me, I have never actually worked like essentially banker's hours. So one weekend, I already have mad respect for the people who work Monday to Friday jobs and parent. Like, yikes. Whew, it is going to be an adjustment. So.
Yeah, like, I mean, I've always known that I've never had a 9 to 5 job, and I never would want a 9 to 5 job. Not to knock anybody who has it. But I need my 4 or 5 days off. I really do. Even if I was working just day shifts. Yeah. Like you were when the PCC, when you were on R4 and it was like part-time, you still had your 4 or 5 days off. And I need that extra long weekend all the time to recover from work. Yep. So it's going to be hard. It will be. Like we've already had to realize that you can't do certain things on your days off because you don't have enough days off. No. Yeah. You know, so that's going to kind of suck. It's just growing pains, and it's only temporary also. Like this is just it's a temp line. Not that we're complaining. No. It's a great opportunity for you. Just growing pains for change. It's going to be really different. That's all right. We're going to rock this like we do everything else. For the most part. Yeah, usually it takes us a week or two to kind of get on the same page and like figure out all the things that you don't really think about during a transition. Yeah. Like that you can't pre-plan for during a transition. Yeah. It takes a week or two, maybe 3 or 4, 5 to kind of get it in sync with the new routine. It's that's the big thing is finding that new routine because I mean, we've been married a long time. I was going to say the spark is gone, but that sounds really bad. Oh. That sounds really bad. No, God, has it gone already? The surprise, I guess. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but like, we know each other really well. Obviously, we've been together for coming up on 10 years now. Yeah. I guess this summer, right? Yep. That we've been together. Yeah. Been married for 9. Yeah. Been together for 10. Yeah. So we know each other really well. We know how we work in stressful situations and stuff. And it's more of figuring out the routine to help us get back to our rhythm. Yeah. Yeah. I upset the fruit basket in the house, and sorry, we're gonna sort the new stuff out. It's a great opportunity for you, but it's just gonna be figuring that out. Do you have anything specific that you have a list of? I see your phone's open. I do have my phone open because I always need notes. Yeah, okay. So I was gonna circle back. I could just ramble on. I know you could. So I'm gonna circle back around too, even though I've started this new job. First, before we go anywhere, I wanted to do 2 subscriber in the wild shout outs. Oh, okay, yeah, sure. Because my new job this week brought me in contact with 2 people like just out in the wild who are like, oh, hey, I'm listening to your podcast that I hadn't seen in years. Awesome. And so they were, shout outs to both Tanis and Becky. Yay, Thanks for following along. Made me very happy. It definitely made my day both days that happened. And I ran into Dorothy coming off not this set, but last set. Yeah. She was parking her bike because she's it was raining and pouring and cold, but that girl is fit. She's a beast, man. She's awesome. She is. And she's like, hi, I listened to your podcast. I really like it. And I'm like, that's awesome. I wish I could shout out to Dorothy too then. Hi, Dorothy. I'm super tired and I'm not the most social person, but I really appreciate that you stopped me to say hi and that you watch or listen to our podcast. Thanks, Dorothy. Yeah, Dave does appreciate you, even if his face doesn't show it. Oh, now I'm on camera. You have my face. I'm sorry. I am sorry about all of this. It's genetics. I can't help it. You probably have the strongest RBF of anyone I know. Yeah. Even being with you for 10 years, I still there are still times where I'm like, I don't know what's going on and I don't know if you're mad at me or not. And I should know, but I can't figure it out. And she'll ask me, I'm like, I'm doing really good actually. Yeah, I'm like, what?
You look like you're pissed. Like, what is going on? Okay.
Especially like with the beard and the hair and stuff.
Yeah.
It just. Anyway,
so that's a good segue into.
Hold on, before we segue, is our baby monitor on so we can see if our baby's sleeping? I don't know if I turned it on or not.
I don't know if you turned it on or not.
Just hit a button. Just hit a button.
Oh, okay. What's a new monitor? I'm getting used to it.
Yeah. I think
it's not on.
Yeah, and we have our headphones on. We wouldn't be able to.
You do it.
It's going. That's good. That's all.
Okay. We're so on top of it today.
Man.
All right, so we're
this
gonna
is actually a little bit of a crazy week. I was gonna I'm not really into the podcast this week. Like it's been busy and stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that now that we're going, I'm glad that we're going because I feel actually like it's a really good way for us to connect each week purposefully.
It is.
And just like share like where we're at with work and stuff. But usually it's just us actually like this is really the only time that we actually have where we focus on talking to each other. Because by the end of the day, it's not a bad thing, but usually by the end of a day, like especially if one of us has been working, we're beat.
Yeah.
Ethan's worn us out.
Yeah.
Right. I saw a meme the other day on Instagram about parenting is all about finding the balance between wanting to sleep and staying up to have a few moments of alone time.
Yeah.
And
or even couple time.
And that really is what it is, right? So I actually look forward to our podcast times because it's the time that we actually get to like stare into each other's eyes lovingly, or creepily, or their sexy eyes. I'm sorry.
The fact that you don't know is the worst part.
Whoa, that scared me a little bit.
Okay, anyway.
Hopefully the camera caught them. We need to work on those sexy eyes.
Who's that? Okay, anyways, keep going.
So yeah, I just wanted to I enjoy our podcast hour or two because it is the time that we actually purposely sit down to. If we weren't doing this, we'd be busy doing errands or, let's be honest, taking a nap.
Probably taking a nap.
Right, and I find like this is actually more rejuvenating than taking a nap.
Yeah. Well, me too. Well, let's segue that into before we talk more about sharing a workplace, why don't we share a little bit of our story? And I thought we could kind of like he said, she said, some parts of it.
Okay.
So how did we actually meet for the very first time?
Should
I start?
Yeah,
should I start? Okay, I'll start this.
It is not good for me.
Well, okay. So a little bit of back history for me then. So I didn't actually graduate with the class that I went through nursing school with. As I mentioned in one of our previous episodes, last episode maybe. Anyways, I got diagnosed with bipolar disorder during school. I pushed through for another couple semesters, but I wasn't incredibly healthy. I wasn't like hospitalizable, if you will. But I wasn't thriving. I wasn't doing well. And I was like, you know what? I need school to take a back seat for a hot second and start to get my health in order before I try and tackle like the end of my degree and starting a career. So I actually took a semester off right before the end of my program, which was like, it felt like such a huge risk. I didn't know if I was going to get back in or not, blah, blah, blah. It was a stressful time. But it turns out that I did end up getting back in with the next semester to do my final preceptorship. So my school allowed me to make, kind of a list of prioritized choices of places I wanted to end up. And I kind of polled everybody I knew that was working in the hospital closest to me to say, like, what units are good places to learn? Because I don't know exactly where I want to end up or go in my career. I just want to start at a place where I feel like it's going to be a good place to learn. And oncology was one of my top choices. I'd already also put surgical and cardiology. And the school matched me up with you on oncology. So they sent me that name. So then I polled a bunch of friends being like, does anybody know this nurse? Like, does anyone know what they're about? And one of my friends is like, oh yeah, I know. Oh, this is the first time you've heard this? Okay. Well, then allow me to fill you in on this part of our story that you didn't know because it was our pre-story. Anyways, I said, this is Dave guy on oncology. And one of my friends piped up and was like, oh yeah, Dave, he's like this older British dude. He's like really cut and dried, but he's really funny and really fun to work with. And I think you guys will get along well. Like he can seem really gruff or like harsh at times, but he knows so much. You'll just learn so much from him. Like,
did you say British, dude?
Yeah, British. They told me British and older, like 60, right?
Everything else sounded right, but not the old British
but not that
dude.
part. But they're like, no. They like this person like knows so much, and like the nerd in you will love it. I'm like, okay, good. Well, that's good to know. So my school gave me your number beforehand to connect before our first shift, just to figure out like whether we were going to meet before or like somewhere else or just come to the unit, that sort of thing. So I called you And you picked up the phone and you were just like super like abrupt and like almost startled. And you're just like, hello.
Yeah, I
And
was with my financial advisor
Yeah.
at the time, and I was coming off a night shift, so I was like, my brain was trying to focus.
which
and not
nowadays I'm
looking.
like, why did you pick up in the middle of that? Why
Well, I
did you
knew
just let it
that-
go to voicemail?
yeah,
Why did you even pick up? I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm like, why would anyone ever pick up? That's actually a pet peeve of mine. When people pick up the phone and they're like, hey, actually, I can't talk right now. I'm like, why'd you pick up? Just let it go to voicemail. I'll call you later.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Anyways, that aside, you picked up and you were just like really.
Move your mic down a little bit. Sorry.
Da, 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 da.
No, like the whole thing. And now point it back up.
All right.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Okay. Yeah, really brusque, really abrupt.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, oh, this must be somebody different because he sounds way younger and also not British. So I was really thrown off by that. But we agreed to meet in our I just about said hotel, the hospital lobby. Not in the hotel
This is definitely
lobby.
a different story than I've heard.
The
I don't know
hospital
who she
lobby.
met before she met
I
me.
didn't-
Wow. It was years before I got her into a hotel. No, a year until I got her into a hotel.
All right. Anyways, so we were going to meet in the hospital lobby before our first shift, which was a night shift.
Yeah, by Starbucks.
So Dave's like, well, let's just meet in the coffee shop that's in the lobby. So I was sitting right outside of the entrance to the coffee shop, just watching the front entrance for him to come in. And this like big lumbering bear of a man comes in. I'm like, oh, that must be Dave. Yeah, pretty much doing that. Right. And he was doing this like slow imperial march somehow. And
I'm going to night shift. It's a night shift walk. I mean, come on.
yeah, he's doing the night shift walk coming in, and I see him. So I stand up to introduce myself, like the super nerdy student that I am. And he gives me one of these like the upward nod things, acknowledgements, just like one. And then he immediately 90 degrees left into the coffee shop, like gives me one nod and then breaks eye contact.
I
And
didn't
just
even give you like a
He
way
didn't
to like just sit back
wave,
down or anything.
Didn't tell me anything. Didn't even say hi. Just was like, I'm doing my coffee first. Y'all can wait.
Well,
So
see, I got there early so I could get my coffee, and then you got
but
there
I was
even
a keener student, so
got
of
there
course I
even
was there early.
I was there like 10 minutes early, and you got there even earlier.
I was so nervous.
We're talking our shift starts at 7:15, and I got there at like at least like quarter to, if not earlier. I'm like a half hour's lots of time to like meet each other.
Mm-hmm.
And then what did you show up? What time were you there? 5?
No.
5:30, 6?
I feel like I was only there at quarter to. Because I don't know. I lived 5 minutes away from the hospital at that point too. So it just like, I just was like, well, I could sit at home here or I could go to, I don't know. I was so nervous. I was just starting my preceptorship. I hadn't been in hospital practicing in seven months at least. Because I gave up my student working hours in the summer when I decided not to go back for my final semester. Anyways, so it had been many months since I'd been in acute care and it was nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
So anyways, he went and got his coffee and I was just standing there waiting for him. So I sat back down and then he came out and then I stood up again to like introduce myself and shake my hand and he just sat down without doing anything. So I was doing this awkward like up, down, up, down.
To be clear, I didn't shat down. I sat down.
You sat back down.
I did not shat my pants or anything.
Sometimes my list comes out.
I just want to be clear.
I feel like we need to
on
start this
keto, I
story
have
again.
in fact shat my pants. I just want to be clear at this point when I'm meeting Julia, me shatting my pants is not part of the story.
He sat back down. So I did this like awkward up, down, trying to like introduce myself. Like you never ended up shaking my hand or anything.
I'm the worst. God damn.
So then we talked and you like barely talked, which I now realize because it was pre-night shift. But at the time I was like, oh no.
I'm just, when I meet you for the first time, unless I'm drinking, I'm socially awkward.
And shy. A lot more shy than I think people realize.
Yeah, let's say shy as opposed to awkward. I just don't talk. And when I get shy, I don't talk. Mm-hmm. And when I'm not talking and I'm feeling awkward, my RBF is in its full glory. It
was. Yes, indeed. So anyways, we talked for like a minute and then you're like, okay, let's go to the unit. So we stand up and I start like kind of following him because I actually had never been to the oncology unit at that point. So I knew roughly where it was, but I just like followed you up there like a lost little like scared puppy being like, oh my God, what have I gotten myself into? And then we had I just like, and I just shadowed you for that first night shift anyways. So that's the story of how we first actually met.
Yeah.
And we sat there on night shift, and I like did some online learning modules while you talked with Allison, I think.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's too long ago to remember who we worked with.
I think it was Allison and Janelle on our first night.
That could be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's how we met. And I was like, oh my God, I have to spend 4 months with this guy who's like just the RBF and the gruff and the not talking. I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do.
Mm-hmm. And you were my first student in BC.
Was I?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I was still like trying to like, I guess, figure out how to have a student. Yeah, it took us a while to kind of sync up, I guess.
I guess just to figure out how I could best learn from you and how you would communicate with me.
Yeah, and then like as you know, as we worked more together, like we started opening up, but I still didn't know like what to talk. This is why I don't talk to my students. I go on break and I tell them to go somewhere else. I don't know how to like. I'm like, I don't know, like that boundary between preceptor, like everybody does it their own way. I like to keep my boundaries with my preceptors, but I didn't really know that at the time. So like we spent a lot of breaks and night shift like talking just about like a lot of random topics,
or even just like nights if it was a little bit. We talked at the desk a lot too, I think, and we found out very early on that we had a lot in common. Like at that time, I had a clear case on my phone, and I had this little like Chewbacca sticker on the inside, and immediately you're like, "Oh, you're a Star Wars fan." I'm like, "Yes, yes, I am."
Yeah, that was a. She's probably gonna pass at this point.
What?
With the Chewbacca.
Oh, the minute you found out I was a Star Wars fan?
I'll let her pass, probably.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good to know that it was my Star Wars fanness and not my nursing abilities that determined I would pass. Interesting story. Also, Dave had to fill out a final eval for me and send it off to my instructor, and he wrote out a joke version that had fail written in every single category.
Like
all
those,
over. Like in red, bold, capital letters. And then he sent that to me as a joke, and then he sent me the real one, and I accidentally sent the joke one to my instructor for my final evaluation.
So she gets an immediate phone call.
Well, not a phone. I got an immediate email back being like,
email, yeah.
I'm not sure if this is the right one that you meant to send me. And I was like, oh shit, yep.
Yeah.
Yes, I have the right one for you. Haha, here it is.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
So, but I think by like a month or two in, we knew enough like of stuff that we really shared in common, not just like interests like Star Wars, but like just even life experiences and stuff that we'd had, that like we were friendly. We were on good terms. We could talk a lot about stuff. And by the end of my preceptorship, it was kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, we can be friends now. Now that I'm done school, yeah, we could be friends.
Yeah, and to be clear, because everybody always asks, like, and it's always so scandalous that she was my student. Like, when did it happen? And it didn't happen for a couple of months
after I finished.
Yeah,
like we didn't ever hang out outside of work until probably at least I want to say a month, but it was it was at least a month after I finished.
Yeah.
So we quickly established that we were friends after that. And then who asked who out first?
Well, see, I thought I asked you out first to go to the movies and dinner, but you thought we were just hanging out.
Because you literally said, hey, do you want to hang out on this day? Let's go see a movie. And I'm like, oh, is this a hangout or a date? But you were so cash about it that I'm like, okay.
And I paid for everything.
You did. You did.
Was it the end of the day that you realized that we were on a date?
I was like, I'm pretty sure this is a date. But yeah.
Well, see, if you're ambiguous about it, then you can't get your heart broken, I guess.
Oh, is that what it was? Mr. Super Confident was suddenly like unsure of himself.
Julie, I have no game.
This I know because I'm the one that asked him actually out.
During our marriage, I make up for having no game by taking you to like the Jules Verne at the Eiffel Tower. I spend a lot of money on you to make up for the fact that I have no game.
So let's just be clear. Dave's very good at the big gestures.
Yes.
Yes. You were very good at those.
I'm very bad at everything else.
Good thing you got a cute smile.
When it comes out.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm actually the one who like forced the conversation to be like, are we dating or are we not?
Yeah, that was really awkward. It was under a pear tree, apple tree at one of your old places. It it was starting to like just sprinkle a little bit during dinner. I had to go to work actually. And we kind of knew that this conversation was happening. It was supposed to happen the day before. Julia can tell that one. It was supposed to happen the day before, whatever. Didn't. So we're just sitting at the table under this tree having dinner before work, and it's like awkward and quiet.
Should I fill in the details of this, of how this actually happened?
Okay, yes.
Oh, you want to keep going?
I thought it was
okay. Go ahead. You tell the story.
Those are the details I remember. So
Julie remembers so many details about this.
You go ahead and tell the details, I guess.
So I wasn't sure if I liked you or not. And then you went away for 3 weeks. You went to Ontario, right? You went back to visit family and friends or whatever. Yeah. And suddenly I was very conscious of the fact that you weren't around, but I wanted you around. And I was like, oh, maybe I like this guy. I don't know. Anyways, so you came back, but you went immediately on to night shifts. Yep. So we arranged to go for a walk down by the river just to talk about your Ontario trip. And we like walked quite a ways down the river to like this bench. And then we like sat down on this bench and I'm sitting here and I'm like, there's all these long, awkward pauses and I'm waiting for you to say something because you're the one that like invited me on this walk.
I'm such a chicken shit.
And he says nothing. And then all of a sudden he's like, well, time to go to work. So we like go to walk back to the end of the deck and I got decimated by mosquitoes. It was like it was late. Yeah. It was early summer. Sorry. I was going to say it was like late June. So, and the mosquitoes were so bad.
They were horrible.
So many mosquito bites. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm covered in mosquito bites. And this guy hasn't even asked me yet what's up with this. Yep. So he went off to work and I'm like, well, maybe I'll give him one more chance. Maybe he's not actually interested. So I was like, guys, got to eat before night shift. I'm like, you want to just come to my place for dinner before your second night shift? Because I lived 5 minutes from the hospital. So he came over, I made dinner. We went and sat outside in the backyard. It started to rain. We picked up our table and moved it under an apple tree. It was cute and romantic and all these things. But Dave used to have this like giant black watch, all black face, but with like neon green hands.
My Nixon.
Your Nixon one, right? So the only thing I could see is like these glaring neon hands being like, he's going to leave. He needs to leave in like 5 minutes. He needs to leave in like 2 minutes. He needs to leave or he's going to be late for work, right? And he's not saying a thing and I'm leaving like longer and longer pauses. And finally I'm just like,
I'm feeling awkward just listening to this.
Dave, like, what are we doing here? And he's like, threw it right back at me. He's like, I don't know. What are we doing here? I'm like, are you seriously going to make me have this whole conversation one-sided? Yeah. Anyways, I told you I liked you and that I wanted to date you. Yeah. And you went, oh, I feel the same way. And I went, okay, so are we dating? And you're like, yep. That was anticlimactic. I'm like, because you didn't ever say anything. You made me have the whole conversation one-sided.
And she still went along with it. It's awesome.
I did. It's awesome. Then you had to leave for work because you were already practically late. And then as you were on your way to work, I'm like, wait. Does that mean like I call you my boyfriend now? Like, what does that actually mean? So anyways, that's how we started dating. Yeah. What else I was going to say? So who asked who out? I asked you out in the end, I think. Explicitly.
Yeah, sure. No, I think I asked you out on a date first.
Yeah.
But I agree that you asked me out.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
I asked you to go steady, baby.
Yeah.
Who said I love you first?
I'm going to say you.
Also me.
Yeah, I feel like that's right.
Yeah. Who proposed?
I proposed.
Yes, you did. Well done.
Yeah. But I couldn't have you do like all three of the big things first.
Yeah. So you got down on both knees, I should say.
Yeah, by accident.
Yes, by accident.
And then I was like noticing.
This is wrong.
This is wrong.
One up.
Yeah.
It was cute. I said yes, clearly. So that's like a bit of background of our story. Any other fun details we should share in there? I feel like that's
pretty good.
Close to the millennial
and then
overshare.
We spent the first 6 years of our relationship sans child.
Yes. And then had a child at the beginning of the pandemic, and the last almost 3 years now we've been parents. So then getting into sharing a workplace.
Yeah.
So how did we handle dating in the workplace? Well, I want to say that we didn't because we barely dated. We dated for like 5 months and then got engaged. Just, when you know, you know.
And like 3 of those months, we kept it on the DL, and everybody at work knew I was dating somebody, but they had no idea who.
And nobody knew that I was dating anybody.
There was a lot of like crazy rumors that
were
not true.
So I was brand new to this unit. I was brand new to nursing. I was just trying to get my feet established. And I was like, I don't need the pressure of like dating another nurse on the unit who was also my preceptor, which is, I was a bit like still sensitive to like that feeling scandalous, even though I'm like, we're adults, we're doing nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with any of this.
Yeah.
I still felt a little like nervous about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, we need to keep it on the DL at least until the end of the summer. Because if something had like gone off the rails with us, I would have been finding a new job. Obviously, it was your unit.
Yeah.
You were established there, so to make things not awkward, given how small the unit is, I would have had to find a different job. So I'm like, let's not put that pressure on a new relationship.
Yeah.
So we kept it on the DL all summer, but we had a bet running on who would figure it out first.
Yeah, and I think it was Barb.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we were actually talking about this week, and we had dinner on the line. So thank you, Barb, for dinner. Because that was my pick, and when she figured it out, Dave had to buy me dinner.
Yeah.
But I'm surprised it didn't come out sooner because you're terrible at keeping secrets. Me?
Absolutely.
No one had any idea that I was
Horrible.
dating anyone.
Yeah, absolutely horrible.
Yeah, and you are the worst at keeping secrets. And one of our coworkers was getting married, and you actually went and asked for a +1 so that I could come to the wedding at the end of the summer. And she was like, wait, Dave's not dating anyone. Why do you need a +1?
I had to tell her before she would give me a +1.
Yeah. So you had to tell her that you were dating someone, but you wouldn't tell her who until the end of the summer. So we actually only were like dating, like people knew about it for like 2 months before.
because we got
in the
engaged
workplace.
in November.
Yeah, 2 to 3 months before everybody, and then we were engaged.
Yeah.
So we didn't really have to handle dating in the workplace very much.
Not dating, I guess, no. But,
Engagement and marriage we did more so.
Yeah.
Though should I tell the story about the first time you called me babe accidentally in the hospital? It's only happened once.
Sure.
Or is that not something we should share?
No, it's fine.
Okay.
Rebecca called me dad once. That was weird.
That is weird.
Julia's preceptor student. We were joking about it. I can't remember how it came up, but we were joking about it. And she like full on like was doing something and she looked back and called me dad to get my attention. It was really funny.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Well,
she's going to absolutely hate that we just said that, but that's okay. So,
all right. Well, now everybody knows.
Now you can tell the babe story.
Sorry, girl. Okay. This is the only time it's ever happened at work. We were still dating. It was when we were dating. And it was like the beginning of a shift. And we were trying to sit down to do a report. And there were bells going off everywhere. And somebody had rang and was looking for a reposition. And Dave had gone into the room. But it was a fairly sizable person. And he needed assistance. So he called for help. And I happened to be the one that was free at the desk. So I came down to help just boost this patient up. And we were using a slider sheet. And I had grabbed, I think like this, like an extension. And you're like, no, like grab like this, babe. And then I looked at him like, did you just call me that? And he went all red-faced and got so embarrassed. And what we didn't realize was going on with this patient at the time is that they had a massive bowel obstruction that had been building for like hours. And suddenly, as we were about to move this patient, he just started vomiting like crazy.
Oh, is this the one that coded?
And he aspirated
that's when I said
and
babe
coded.
During that code?
It was right before it. We were
Dear
about to
Lord.
reposition this patient. No one had any idea this was going on, but this patient vomited. But because we were just about to bump him up in bed, he aspirated and coded. So suddenly, like, we just had this moment where, like, I was like, did you just say that? And he got all embarrassed, and then the patient instantly coded.
See, I must have blanked out on all that. I knew I had called you babe at work one time, but I couldn't remember when.
Patient.
Then,
That's the first code, like the first legit code that we had to run together, too.
Wow.
Yeah, I laughed about it later. At the time, I was so stressed. I mean, we resuscitated the guy, so go team.
So, what have been some? Well, first off, we've tried really. I think we've alluded to this before, but we've tried really hard during our careers together, to not actually work that much together.
Yeah, I was going to transition into how do we handle being married in the workplace. One of the things is we don't work a lot of shifts together, even though we share a workplace. Yeah. And I think that's wise. I think both for our coworkers' sake and for us. Like, I think
we need separate. Like, it's great that we work together and we're on the same floor and we have the same experiences and can talk about the floor and know what's going on together. Mm-hmm. But if we had to actually work together all the time and then come home and be together and not actually have that separation of just our own space, I think that would be problematic.
Yeah, I think carpooling all the time together would probably drive you crazy.
Oh God, that would be the worst.
I love driving to and from work with Dave in the passenger seat because that is the most chatty, other than this, that you will ever get, Dave.
Yeah, I don't know why.
I don't know why.
7 or 6:30 in the morning, and I'm chatting away when I'm in the passenger seat.
Just like motor mouth too. Like,
yeah, like it don't stop.
I don't know
it's
how
weird.
it is so. It's so funny.
It's the only time
Yeah.
that I voluntarily just chat.
Just talk
weird.
straight at me.
Yeah.
But then you get to work and you're like, oh, I'm grumpy. I was just social.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm your wife. You're supposed to be social with me, not at work. It's perfect timing.
Yeah.
What else do we do in terms of sharing a workplace? I think, well, I will say, at least me, I'm very conscious about how much of our home life I openly share at work, because I think part of my thinking is then you don't have control over what people know about you outside of work, outside of you, like the non-professional side of you. And because it's your workplace too, I don't want to like overshare things that you wouldn't have wanted to share with coworkers or patients or whatever. I think I'm pretty conscious of that. However, I don't know that always goes in the other direction, because there are times I show up at work and people at work know things about us that I don't even know about yet. AKA, you've gone on break and booked us a vacation while you were on break, and I didn't know about it until I got to work.
Yeah, that happened. That's okay. Like I said, I can't keep a secret, so I'm really excited about it. That's fine.
So everyone at work knows that we're going on this trip or something, and I don't until I see the credit card charges like showing up on my alerts. Be like, what's happening? What's going on? What are you doing on break? Yeah. But yeah, like I think I'm conscious about not talking so much about our home life, or just making sure it's not in a way that like something you wouldn't want shared. Yeah. And I also would not. I would think. I mean, I joke around teasingly about things that we do that drive each other crazy, but I'm very conscious about not complaining about you at work. You know, like as a spouse.
I try really hard not to. I feel like there have been times that my mouth has gotten the better of me.
We're human.
But yeah, I try to be conscious of not specifically, like I don't mind talking about like the fun things that are happening at home and stuff. Yeah. But I try not to talk about the bad things. Not the bad things,
just difficulties.
Yeah, I don't think that needs to come into the workplace at all.
Yeah, I agree. I always think also like in terms of keeping professional boundaries, I think like if I wouldn't act this way towards a coworker, even if like a coworker that I'm friendly with, if I wouldn't act this way towards a coworker, I would never act that way towards you at work. Yeah.
It's actually like we've actually done quite like I think you said this last week, but we've done quite a good job of keeping the professional boundaries, because there are still people that we worked with for years and years and years who are still just cluing in that we're married.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'd like to think we're pretty good at keeping the professional boundaries. And we're not like flirting at work and stuff like that. We're not, and not like teasing each other about things that our coworkers wouldn't know about. You know, like no inside jokes, none of those sorts of things.
But it helps again that we try to.
We don't have a lot of shifts together.
Like we have in the schedule we have currently, our lines line up 20 shifts in a year.
20-ish, 2022.
And we usually just take vacations on them.
Like one of us does.
Yeah. There might be a few times there, like one of us will pick up a shift, like some overtime or something like that, and we work together, but it's not very common.
Yeah. Like last December, you really saved my ass a couple of times when the floods were on and no one could get into work. And I was the only person working for the whole floor that you came in. So I didn't have to work alone. Thank you. So, not that you just did that for me. You did that for other people too, I know, during that time, because you had vacation booked. And so
I didn't do it for anybody. I did it for me and my bank account.
Or that. You would have left me on my own, you know, just all by myself all night long.
You would have managed.
Yeah, I guess I would have. I'm very conscious about showing favoritism at work too. Like,
yeah, but I think it's I think that I don't think that naturally I think you and I would naturally have gone out of our way to make sure we're not showing favoritism.
Yeah.
I think the problem is, even when that's not the case, the fact that sometimes you and I are like we're the only senior nurses on the shifts that we're following each other and stuff. Sometimes it means that certain things have to happen. Like you have to have certain teams, you have to have certain patients doing chemo and whatnot.
Yeah, just based on skill mix and experience mix.
But I think sometimes that's the way that we set the teams up for each other have been read into as being favoritism. Because if you have a chemo team before a pandemic, you would typically have an easier team. And if you're the main nurse doing chemo and I give you that team, people have complained about that's favoritism and then gone to the managers. And I've had to go and justify why I gave you a team, which is just ridiculous. You have to have that team. And every time that the manager asks about it and we've explained it, it's like,
there's always been clinical justification.
But, as much as we have really worked to make sure that we keep those professional boundaries, because people know we're a couple, your actions are still viewed through that light, irregardless.
And I think that makes me, like, personally a lot more conscious about, like, trying not to. But again, I mean, like, you can't control other people's thoughts and actions. People are sometimes going to make assumptions or whatever. And you know what? Then I know, at least for myself, I always try to practice with integrity and, like, have rationale for the reasons that I'm doing things, even if I know people might interpret it a different way. And that's true for my entire practice. Just that I always feel confident that even if my actions are called into questions, I can justify them in a professional manner. Yeah. And then, sometimes you just have to let go of what other people are going to think of you. Yeah. I mean, that's just in life in general. Yeah. What is the best part of working together or sharing a workplace?
I wouldn't say necessarily working together because that doesn't happen, but sharing a workplace. I think the thing that it's a double-edged sword or a double-edged coin. I don't know. It's a thing where, one, I can come home and vent, and I don't need to necessarily. I can come home and explain how my day was, and you actually know how my day was, and you can actually picture it and really understand where I'm coming from. Yeah. Whereas if it was a lot of people, their spouses don't really get what we do for a living. There's so many nuances and so much trauma and this and that. It's hard if you're not a nurse to really understand what those things mean during a day. Yeah. Not saying that other spouses wouldn't be, aren't supportive and stuff. It's just, I can come home and be like, it was this, and you automatically know what a single sentence, what it actually means. Yeah. Like, right?
There's a difference between supportive and actually, like, fully understanding too. Right.
Right. But the double-edged sword part of that is also, we can complain and vent to each other too much about work and actually amp each other up about it.
Yeah, or when someone comes home and really, like, wants to or feels the need to, like, vent and process a day, and the other person is just maxed out on work stuff and just can't. Yeah. And I think that side of it can be hard to, like, not take that personally as a spouse, but then also having that understanding that this is also that person's workplace. They are also experiencing all of those stressors and triggering things and whatever in that workplace. If they've had enough, their days off need to be protection from that too.
Yeah, and that actually took us a couple of years to figure out.
Yeah, and there are still times where we have to, like, feel that out again.
Well, it just took us a couple of years to even learn how to communicate
that's a thing.
And be like, I understand you had a hard day, but I can't be your person to talk to about it right now. It took us a long time just to be able to communicate that effectively.
And to just see that as that other person's holding a boundary for their own health and not to take it personally. It's not like, again, it's not that I don't want to support you. Yeah. It's just that if I think or talk about this too much, it's going to rile me up, and it's my days off. My mental health needs to recuperate before I go back to face it again. Yeah. So I think that's been one of the hardest things for me to learn, that part of like, just it's not that this relationship isn't a safe space to vent about things or to, like, talk about the stuff that's on our hearts and minds or whatever. It's just that we all have limits. Yep. And, you holding a boundary for your own mental health is something I want you to be doing, even if it's within the context of our relationship. Yeah. I need to honor and respect that and not take it personally. Yeah. That I would say that was a steep learning curve, but every now and then when I'm like, I'm really tired and I'm not on my game, it still is hard not to take it personally.
Yeah, of course.
Even though logically I know it's not personal. Yep. Emotionally, I'm like, it's personal. And I think that's maybe one of the other things, if anything, like, because I don't find it hard to share a workplace with you. I find it's kind of I think it's kind of a fun thing about our relationship. But that was one thing that I had to learn early on, is just, like, to not take things personally in the professional context. Yep. So.
But then we get to do things like this podcast, which is really fun.
It is fun.
Yeah.
I think it's fun.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know. Those were kind of the things that I had to talk about.
Yeah.
What's the best part? What's the hardest part? Do we have any tips or tricks or things that people should know about sharing a workplace with your spouse?
Yeah, sharing a workplace is great. You can do it on a big unit or on a small unit.
Mm-hmm.
Just try to be in a schedule where you're not actually working together
every single
all the
day.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that would max most people out.
Yeah. Like before we had Ethan, we didn't bother not working together.
No.
We didn't take our vacations off. We take our vacations off so we're separate, more so we're home. One of us is home.
Yeah, now that we have a kid.
Before we had Ethan, we didn't bother doing that. We would just work our sets and stuff because it was at most a set or a set and a half kind of that we would work together before we go opposite again.
Yeah.
And it was totally fine when we did that, but you wouldn't want to do it where your schedules are like synced up.
Yeah. I don't think so, at least. Like, I feel like there are few couples that are compatible enough to really make that work in the long run.
Yeah.
You need your own downtime, you need your own space, some people more than others.
Yeah.
I think when we did find ourselves lining up a lot, like when we were sharing time in the workplace a lot, we needed to be conscious about building in our own downtime on the days off.
Yeah.
Like that we would be okay with, one person having a night off, even if it was just like doing their own thing, watching TV or reading or something, or going out with friends, or like building that.
Can you guess who did what?
Social man cave.
Yeah.
I think we had to be conscious about building that into our lives at the times where we lined up a lot.
Yeah.
But then at the times that we were completely opposite, we had to be conscious about building in time together, even though one was working and one was off.
Mm-hmm.
And the person who was working was quite tired, but we needed to be conscious about protecting the time that we did have off together when we were opposite.
Yeah.
Not scheduling things in with friends or appointments or whatever things. Yep. Yeah. So that's something that's definitely to be conscious of.
Yep.
Protect the time that you have together and value your own mental health enough to build in downtime, whether that's taking advantage of or utilizing the time that you're forced apart by your schedules, or building it in when you have a lot of days off together and days on together.
Yep. No, it's been fun. It'll be different with you actually on a different unit for a while. We'll have to see what that's like, and working a 9 to 5 essentially Monday, Friday, and
banker hours.
Those will be a bunch of things that'll be a first for our relationship.
It will be.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I have to say, the unit that I'm working on now is next door to the unit that we work on. So I've definitely walked past the door more than once and had to do like a U-turn and be like, oh, I work here now.
See, because of that, actually, because of that, will that actually mean we see each other more?
I don't know. I'm always there. Now it feels like,
and we're not trying to like not work together anymore. So like now the vacations you'll be taking will be more to help with my mom with babysitting, so she can have time to go to her job and stuff.
Oh, are you actually going to want to take breaks together, or you still want to go and be on your own?
Yeah.
Maybe somebody asked me that this week. They're like, oh, does that mean you're going to have lunch together? I'm like, I don't think Dave wants to have lunch with me at work.
Maybe once in a while have like a coffee together, but no, my breaks are, I usually go to sleep on my breaks, or I put my headphones on and I just like zone out. I need to recoup.
Gotta like have that brain downtime.
Like having 3 or 4 hours where I'm like constantly talking. Oh no, give me half hour of my time,
just
my
like
space.
Eyes closed, meditative.
Like honestly, like I would say 50% of my breaks, you'll find me in the break room, just like drooling, headphones in, white noise playing.
Somebody walks in from the med room to get you, and you're like,
yeah, I'm out to the world.
Yep.
Yeah. So no, not very often.
No. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
Well, that's all right.
We have lots of coffee together at home. It's
We
fine.
do. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's fun. There have been hard times. There have been things that we've had to learn how to communicate better. But I think overall it's been pretty positive.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think just being able to get this side of you really well has served our relationship well, because like we've said throughout this podcast a lot, like nursing isn't just a profession. Like it you build a life as a nurse
Yeah.
in many ways. Like there's
Yeah.
not a lot of people I know who are nurses and it doesn't seep into so much of the rest of their life.
Yeah.
But it's also really hard to explain what we do in a day
Yeah.
and what we do as professionals and
Mm-hmm.
all the things that come under our umbrella. And I think getting that about you, understanding that about you does like it. I think it's a strength of our relationship.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
All right. So we once again forgot to interrupt in the middle of our podcast to say
always.
like, subscribe, follow. We love you guys.
You can find us at www.the24gpodcast.com or everywhere that your podcasts are watched or heard.
Like everywhere, like 8 different platforms now, hey?
Something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So we appreciate any and all of our subscribers and people who like, thumbs up, share, etc.
Hopefully the camera's still recording.
Hopefully it's still recording. If it's not, well, then I'm just looking over for no reason. But I will say, if you did enjoy this podcast and you stuck around to the end with us today, why not share with somebody who might also enjoy our podcast? Because we all know the things probably in our life that we enjoy the most usually come with a recommendation from someone we love. So, why not pass it along?
Yeah, pass it along. Okay.
All right. Well, have a great week wherever this finds you. And we will see you next time on the 24 Gauge Podcast.
See ya.
Bye.